Just absolutely exquisite, just exquisite. So right now, I have the great pleasure of introducing our speaker for today, our guest speaker. If I even begin to tell you the wonderment of this woman, I will land up in a puddle because we both live really close to the water and we've been doing this together for many years. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to step back and invite up my friend, my senior minister, my mentor, my cohort, somebody who's extremely dear to me, my beloved Reverend Karin Einhaus.
Well, good morning. Good morning. It is such a joy for me to be here, and I'm the same way. I won't be able to look at Reverend Beverly. That doesn't mean I don't adore her, but when I do that, I too will well up, and we don't want that. We don't want me in a puddle up here. So I want to say that it is not often that 2 minutes before I go up and give a talk, I totally forget about it because I'm so mesmerized by the music. But I was. So beautiful. As you might know, we are here from Arizona, from a very different climate than what you are experiencing here, and the way we have felt welcomed here is just amazing. It really personifies this idea of aloha, this welcoming. And a little later in my talk, I am going to share my favorite poem by Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, which is Peace Be Unto Thee, Stranger, because that is how we have felt here in your community. But before we get to that, I am going to go ahead and share with you a couple of thoughts. As today, I understand that you loosely follow the annual global theme. And there it is. Oh, look. There it is. Celebrating life as source. And so I thought I would start with that. What does that really mean? You probably have spent this month at least, and probably this whole time, to really feeling, where am I in this idea of awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence, right? Because that is the vision of this particular organization within the greater organization. And then we like to bring it down and even more personally. Well, what is my part in that? What is my part in that? And so I love this title. Now let's start with celebrating. I don't think I need to talk much about it because you know how to celebrate. Oh my goodness. It was an amazing celebration. And what was so magnificent to witness was how many people came together and shared their gift to create what was created here yesterday. So wonderful. We got the celebrating, you got that down. And then there's life. Life, well, life is all around us. In this very moment, it is what it's beating our hearts. It is what is having us take our next breath. And here, where nature is so immediate, we can really feel it, right? Here on this island, you don't live in some remote place away from nature. No, nature is right here, and you can feel it with every breath, if you allow yourself to feel it. So that takes care of life. And then source, really deepening into this idea that there's one something, one significant power for good, as Dr. Ernest Holmes calls it. There's a power for good in the universe, greater than I am, greater than we are, and we can use it. That is source. That is the divine. And so often I think about myself as this little lamp that just needs to find the outlet to plug in. And because this might surprise some of you, there are moments where I don't feel connected to Source. Has that ever happened to anybody here? Oh, I am so glad I'm amongst friends. You know what I'm talking about, right? We are in this teaching, and we proclaim and we believe in the eternal loving kindness, the eternal grace, the eternal givingness of life. We feel it, we know it, and yet there are moments where I'm like, where is it? Where is it? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about how can we connect to Source? How can we find that connection? And then to feel, oh, there it is. There is the power that is greater than I am for me to lean in, for me to remember who I am. A manifestation of the divine. And when we connect to that, well, then it is easy to show up and give our gifts, right? So I am going to use this idea that Ken Wilber, the great American philosopher, brought forth. Wake up, grow up, and show up. Okay. All right. I take that as we are ready for this. Is that the reaction? Okay. All right. Well, let's start with wake up. The wake up comes in very different forms. Sometimes it's what we like to refer to as a spiritual 2x4. I see some of you have gotten that one, right? We walk through life and all is well, and there's a little nagging, there's something there, and we don't pay attention to it. And we ignore it, and it is like a 2-year-old. And it's like, mama, 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 mama. And if you ignore it long enough, something happens. Because this power for good in the universe, its intention is to get made manifest through us. And if it doesn't find an outlet, it is going to make an outlet. It's going to find a way. It's going to find a way to get our attention. And that sometimes looks like divorce, downsizing, a diagnosis, any of the D's, right? Any of those D's. Sometimes it's death. Sometimes someone passes away, but sometimes something within us, a belief that we have picked up, has to die for us to be that outlet for the divine to come through. Can you relate to that? Yes, yes. And it's not pretty when it happens. And we call that waking up. Well, sometimes it's a very messy waking up. But it happens. So there's this 2x4 that happens, and we are like, oh, we get it. We have moments where we get, I'm one in the one. And then the question comes, how can we continue us being able to lean into that? Well, that's where the growing up comes in. The growing up is, let's find ways, and they are different for each person, to remind us on a regular basis that we are one in the one. Perhaps that is being part of this community. Perhaps it is stepping deeper in, taking classes, working with a practitioner, working with your minister, stepping into sacred service. I cannot tell you how powerful it is for us to say, I am going to make a commitment. I'm going to be there and I'm going to do this. And then see what rises up within us. So that is the growing up part. Creating habits, small habits, maybe a regular practice. Maybe waking up every morning and just thinking about the 3 things I'm grateful for. Let's do that right now. Just think about the 3 things you're grateful for. You don't even have to say them out loud, just feel it. And see if that doesn't open up your heart and your mind to the flow of the divine that is everywhere and all the time present. That is how we are growing. We are growing into a higher state of consciousness by means that we are setting for ourselves. There's nobody else telling us what to do. We make the choice. So there is the waking up, the growing up. Oh, earlier, I forgot to mention the cleaning up. I don't say that up front because I see people walking out, cleaning up. Do you know what the cleaning up part is? It is forgiveness work. It is being willing to look at ourselves from that place of deep love and compassion and honestly say, I messed up. I messed up. I wasn't coming from that place within me that I strive to be in the world, and I messed up. And now I get to clean it up. I get to go and say, here's what happened. I apologize. There's this wonderful teaching of the 4 kingdoms. Some of you might have heard about that. And the first kingdom is the kingdom of victimhood. You know, the feeling that life just happens to me and I have nothing to do with it. It's just random. And the way we can lift ourselves out of that feeling is by letting go of shame and blame. And isn't that really what forgiveness work is? It is the willingness to say, yes, I made a mistake and I am able to clean it up. That's the cleaning up part. And you know, sometimes working with a practitioner can really help us to own that part. Because we don't want to get into blaming ourselves, because we all have done a good job doing that all of our lives, right? Hurting ourselves, misunderstanding that we are human beings, yes. Well, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, but wow, does that feel real sometimes, right? It feels very real when we have those human experiences. So, if you hear one thing, hear that it is a sign of deep self-love to be willing to do the forgiveness work, to have a look at what needs cleaned up, so that you are an open vessel for the power of good to just flow through you and make itself manifest in your life. Yay! I like that. So we have the waking up, the growing up, the cleaning up, and we're doing all of that so we can show up. And the showing up takes on such a different quality because you have done the work. You have had the realization that you are one with the one. You have found ways to plug into that outlet in those moments when things happen in the world, which they will continue to. Things happen. The spiritual path is not a ticket to a life where nothing happens. I love the saying when they say, religious people believe in heaven and hell, and spiritual beings have been there and have come back. And so that is who we are, right? We are not saying, oh, everything is just perfect, there's nothing to worry about. That is not this teaching. This is not a teaching of denial. This is a teaching of taking a look at what is in our life and taking a stand and saying, wow, that looks messy. And what I know is that there's a power for good greater than I am. And I am of it. And once we have that connection, the elegant solutions just reveal themselves. They just come through. They do. And then we look at where we didn't even see a way to get out of it, and there are doors, and they are opening. And life is saying, here, you're welcome here. So I want to share this poem by Dr. Ernest Holmes, for it is saying just that. Let me go behind here. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome to my home. There's room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. You know that line, I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. That is what the cleaning up work is. That's what the cleaning up work is. I am willing to take a look what is going on. And I am willing to do the work to see and to allow it to be different. The table is laid and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also, it sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. Beloveds, that is what the divine says to us at every moment. All of this good is laid out before you. All the love, all the peace, all the harmony, all the joy, all the abundance. And we are invited to partake in it. We are invited to come to the place where we know that we are one in the one. And from that place, we are not only blessed, but we are a blessing to the world. I am so grateful that you are on this journey. Thank you. And now let us take all of this energy and let us anchor it in prayer. Please join me. And I invite the practitioners and the ministers in the room to rise and take a stand with me, to hold this consciousness, to be a conduit for this good to be realized, made manifest for each beloved here in this room, for each beloved that is watching online. And so we start right here, recognizing that there is a power for good greater than I am. It is love, it is peace, it is harmony, it is joy, it is abundance. And it is everywhere present at all times. It is so apparent in the way the waves are coming to shore. In the sunrise, in the sunset, in the eyes of the beloved, every moment. And as we recognize the allness of life everywhere present, we know that we are of it. And right, who I am is God made manifest. Right, who you are, right where you are, God made manifest. And so we allow this feeling of connection, of oneness to rise and take a hold of us. And it is from this place of deep knowingness that I speak my word. I claim that whatever is on our hearts is finding resolution, is finding a path forward. I claim that the waking up and the growing up and the cleaning up and the showing up is taking place in each person's life, and that it blesses not only this community, but the world at large. Oh, how grateful I am, how very, very grateful I am to know that this is the truth. This is how life works. And so I just place this word into universal law, knowing that it is done, that it is complete. And together we know this as we say. And so it is. Amen.